Hello everyone, in honor of Transformers Rise of the Beasts, I decided to share my favorite Transformers films. Now this will range from the 1986 original all the way to Rise of the Beast. If you want to see a more in-depth ranking of these movies, go ahead and check out my previous ranking I did several years ago. Before I continue, feel free to let me know your least and most favorite Transformers films. Starting at number 8 is Transformers The Last Knight. Transformers The Last Knight is a beautifully shot film by Michael Bay, but this is probably the weakest entry in his first 5 films, I must say. They take some embellishments with the story. We get to see Unicron as planet Earth itself instead of a separate entity. We also get to see the Transformers mythos tied into the legend of Excalibur, and that was kind of interesting to see and how it ties into the villainous Quintessa. Meanwhile, in the last film, Optimus Prime went into space, and in this, he ends up becoming a villain. We also have the return of Cade, played by Mark Wahlberg, Josh Duhamel's return. I think what really holds this film back, for me personally, is the humor. The comedy and story is just not very good. The humor sometimes works, but most oftentimes does not. It doubles down on like everything bad in the previous Bay Transformers films. But there's just so many things going on in this movie. And on top of that, my main thing against this film is that it's beautifully shot with IMAX, but Michael Bay doesn't have sequences in IMAX. It keeps switching aspect ratios every 5 seconds, and that just creates a headache along with the noise and everything going on in this film. Sir Anthony Hopkins is in this, and Hot Rod, yeah, Hot Rod's not like the Judd Nelson Hot Rod. What can I say? Overall, this film is just very bloated. While it's not the strongest and I don't like the comedy, the third act is amazing, where Mark Wahlberg's character ends up getting Excalibur, helping the Autobots fight Quintessa, try and take over planet Earth, and then we get Bumblebee speaking again to his friend Optimus Prime. The Prime-Bumblebee fight is a highlight here. While not being the strongest, it does have its moments. After that, at number 7 is Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. This film is a far cry from the first film, but it does have its moments. The first IMAX shot film in the series, and there's an opening sequence that's just breathtaking. The action in this film is incredible. If anything, it's the story and the humor, as well as the objectification of Megan Fox's character, that basically knocks this film a couple of notches from the other ones and its predecessor. I really love this film up until they killed off Optimus Prime, and I knew they were going to do it like the Transformers the movie. It's just the humor was not very good. I don't care about the human characters, but it was cool how Megatron got resurrected, how they basically helped the Fallen. It wasn't great seeing Sam Witwicky have like this girlfriend in college trying to hit on him and just have a robotic tail come out of her. That's just weird juvenile humor. That being said though, the action is among the best. Love that forest battle fight, love the Egypt fight. This has a lot of cool moments that are reminiscent of the first film, but just ultimately misses what made that first film special for me, and because of that, it's lower on my list and one of my least favorites. After that, at number 6 is Transformers Age of Extinction. I didn't see this till recently, but I love this movie. It's a good sequel to the first trilogy of Transformers. It's underrated in many ways. I love Mark Wahlberg as Cade. He plays a Texan, and they actually did shoot this in Texas. So like as a Texan, that's just kind of cool. We have Cade's daughter and her boyfriend. They're okay. There's like the teen romance angle, but what I love here is how humanity went after the Autobots and Optimus Prime is in hiding. Cade ends up finding this old 18-wheeler to fix up, and he doesn't know that it's Optimus Prime. Kelsey Grammer and Titus Welliver are great as the villains in this film. Stanley Tucci and Sophia Myles are also great, and I love the humor there and how they set up Galvatron. Overall, this is a nice continuation from Dark of the Moon and what the world would be like. It's a much darker, grimmer, serious Transformers film. And who could forget Battle Cry by Imagine Dragons on the soundtrack? Seeing the Dinobots. The humor is that same Bay humor, but it's not as insufferable. This film takes itself a lot more seriously than you think it would, and it's just epic by the time it goes into Japan at the end. I love it. Stanley Tucci's, oh my god, and he's just, you know, the action scenes there. This film is just a blast. Even though it is a bit long, this film is a highlight, and I think it's underrated for the live action Transformers films. After that, at number 5, for me now is Transformers Rise of the Beast. I love this continuation from Bumblebee. And you know, as a 90s kid, Beast Wars was one show that I didn't even know was Transformers till years later. I loved watching that show. It revolutionized animation with CGI. Beast Wars and Reboot were something special, and it was something seeing the Maximals and Terracons in live action now with modern CGI. It's just amazing. But the Maximals were not in this film as much as I would hope they would have been, but it was nice seeing how the Beast Wars Transformers era is combined with Generation 1, and it taking place in 1994. The two main actors are great in this. Pete Davidson is somewhat funny in this film, surprisingly, but seeing Unicron was just like, oh my god, I never thought I'd see something like that in live action. I know as a fan of the 86 film, I never thought I'd see that. Ron Perlman as Optimus Primal, seeing Michelle Yeoh in this, the different locations, the chase scenes are spectacular. Does it have the flair of the Michael Bay films? No, but they still are great action scenes, and the last 40 minutes of this are just epic. The surprise ending twist is something I thought they should have done a long time ago, especially when you look at the Michael Bay films. I'm like, yeah, I could see that fitting in. What can I say? Scourge, the villain, played by Peter Dinklage, he did an amazing job in this. I love the tension and rivalry between him and Optimus Prime, and Peter Cullen is at his finest here as a character. He was born to play Optimus Prime, and this film is just an exhilarating, exciting film that's among one of my favorite Transformers films. After that, at number 4 is Transformers Dark of the Moon. This was a great course correction after Revenge of the Fallen, an alien invasion film that is, oh man, probably my favorite along with the first film. It does have the same humor as Revenge of the Fallen in the beginning half. We have Megan Fox replaced. I like Sam's relationship here with his girlfriend, seeing him mature a bit and dealing with the Autobots and the workforce and adult life, you know. And Patrick Dempsey is great as the human villain, but what really makes this film is Sentinel Prime, played by Leonard Nimoy, who's no stranger to playing villains in the Transformers films. I love the twist here, how it ties into the moon landing and ultimately the alien invasion aspect of it. That second half of this film gets so intense, and it's just some of the best action I've seen in a blockbuster. Michael Bay is like no other director as far as spectacle goes. I love this movie. It's such an enjoyable film. The score is underrated, and yeah, this is a perfect trilogy conclusion for the Transformers films. As much as I like Age of Extinction, I think Michael Bay should have stopped here because he just put everything he could in this one movie. After that, at number 3 for me is Transformers from 2007. This film was something special. I remember seeing the teaser footage where Optimus Prime is shown on Mars, and it's just like, you don't know what they're going to look like, you know? Back then, they didn't show the trailers that much, so like I had no idea what the Transformers were going to look like until I saw this movie. It gave me vibes of Small Soldiers and the Transformers cartoon. Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox, iconic in this film. Hugo Weaving as Megatron was great, but then Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime, seeing Bumblebee. The barricade chase with Pretty Handsome Awkward by the Used. The soundtrack in this was just awesome. What I've Done by Linkin Park. Doomsday Clock by the Smashing Pumpkins. I love how it starts with these soldiers finding the Decepticons in the Middle East. Josh Duhamel and Tyrese Gibson's characters. Seeing Section 7. And then like all these different stories and characters interconnect into one long battle. And when you do have the Autobots and Decepticons face off against each other, it's like the cartoon come to life. This is such an awesome film, and the effects still stand pretty strong for a 2007 film to this day. And it's just among one of my favorite Transformers films. I just absolutely love this movie. After that, at number 2 for me is Bumblebee. This is the best live action Transformers and is also the most true to the Generation 1 film. I love the script by Christina Hodson, and this is wonderfully directed by Travis Knight. He goes from animation to live action brilliantly here, much like Brad Bird did with Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. But seeing Cybertron, that whole opening is just awesome. Dylan O'Brien playing the voice of Bumblebee before he loses it. Seeing John Cena in this. I didn't see John Cena in this film. Like, that's how good he is in this film. Haley Steinfeld is a standout as Charlie, and a heartfelt story about a girl going through grief. You know, she lost her father, he had a heart attack, and she's just lost. So meeting Bumblebee helps her through the grieving process of losing her father. And this film has all the sensibilities and charm of an 80s film. It's like Batteries Not Included, or like Short Circuit, or Back to the Future. Just has that innocence and just like good heartwarming feeling you had from 80s films, but in present day. And this film is just awesome. Seeing Bumblebee land, seeing Decepticons trying to find Bumblebee and where Optimus Prime is hiding. Yeah, I love John Cena's character. They literally call themselves Decepticons. How can we trust them, you know? The soundtrack is amazing with the 80s music, even down to "You've Got the Touch, You've Got the Power," yeah. I mean, yeah. And then seeing Bumblebee regain his memories, fight, and then leave Charlie. Oh my god, this film puts you through so many range of emotions, and it's just a love letter to Generation 1 Transformers, setting up a brilliant reboot timeline of the franchise. After that, at number 1 for me will always be Transformers the movie from 1986. This film will always have a special place in my heart. Now, I didn't see it till years later. I wasn't around when this first came out, so I'm not going to have the scarring of 80s kids who saw their hero Optimus Prime get killed. But I love the voices in this. You have Judd Nelson, you have Leonard Nimoy, Orson Welles as Unicron. Seeing how devastating the damage can be with this planet eater Unicron destroying one of the moons of Cybertron was just absolute insanity. It's kind of crazy to think that in 1986, the future, like far future, would be 2005. Here's hoping that having Unicron trilogy with Megatron in the late 90s and then having Unicron and 2005, like do a loose remake of this. But I love the soundtrack. The theme by Line is just iconic. Dare to Be Stupid, You've Got the Touch, Hunger, Instruments of Destruction. So much music that's just awesome. And who could forget Vince DiCola's score? I mean, he did Rocky IV. You could definitely hear moments of that in the score. Megatron become Galvatron, played by Leonard Nimoy. Optimus Prime, the loss of him, and then Hot Rod taking over as a leader. He made a mistake and now he has to take over as a new leader. They have to sell new toys, and it's kind of amazing how much is put into this animated film, and it's really hardcore. I mean, there's the edited VHS version, or you can have the original version with like the longer intro and the language. I love seeing Spike here and his kid. The Transformers kind of all separated throughout the movie in different planets and parts of the galaxy, and then coming together to basically fight and destroy Unicron. Overall, this is the ultimate battle between good versus evil in a world beyond your wildest imagination. I love Transformers the movie, and I think the reason why I love it so much too is because this is the most true it's been. It's a movie that was after the first couple of seasons of the cartoon show. So like the X-Files movie or Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, it just has that special spark, and it was like it struck while the iron was hot in the prime, so to speak, no pun intended, of Transformers. Anyway, those are my least to most favorite Transformers films. Let me know your favorite Transformers films down in the comments below. Again, if you want to see more in-depth review, reaction, and ranking, check out my previous video from a couple of years back. You can also check out my favorite DCEU films and other videos on the channel. Feel free to subscribe for more videos. After this, I'll have a Batman-related video, a Terminator 3 reaction for its anniversary on July 2nd, and then I'm going to be taking a bit of a break. So, yeah. Stay safe and healthy. Stay cool out there in the summer months. Till all are one.